Hello. Right, I'm just checking that I'm coming through and I can actually see what's happening. Not quite. Hoping we get there. And we'll just give everybody a couple of minutes to join us in the group. Right, good. I can see it now. Let's see. Oh, Mrs. Paper Artsy's here. Better behave myself. Oh, Michelle. Now, Michelle, I hope you're sending us some Florida sunshine. We've got snow and it's freezing here, which is why I've got all my layers on. It's really cold. And Susan's here from Bedford. Hi, Susan. And Susie. Susie is a caravan crafter. Oh, my husband's watching. I feel like I'm being supervised now. Good. Oh, Katy Norgate's in. Now, Katy Norgate has done me lots and lots of fabulous samples and I will be sharing those this evening. She's got quite a different style to me, so we're sharing lots so that you see some different ideas. Michelle. Yes, snow, definitely. And oh, Beth's here. Nice to see everyone. Pamela, Stampers Grove. Hi, James. And Eva. Lovely. Nice to see everybody joining us. Sorry, that's my stool creaking. Right, I'll just give everyone another couple of minutes. Right, sorry, if you see me looking over here, it's because my iPad's over here. And then eventually I'm going to turn the phone round, get the camera the right way so you can look at the samples. And then I'm just looking at what you're saying on the iPad. Janet's here, Frantic Stamper. Nice to see you all. Oh, Michelle says it's really, really hot in Florida. We shouldn't really moan here because we never get the extremes of weather. But you know, we're British and it's the national pastime. We have to moan about the weather. Tina's here. So this is great. So welcome to everybody. Good evening if you're in the UK. Good afternoon if you're in America. And Australia, if you are here at silly o'clock, then you are diehards. Well done. Still people joining, Holly and really nice to see you all. That's lovely. I'll just give it another second and then we're going to make a start. Yeah, Victoria is here. Hi, lovely to see you all. Well, not see you, but you know what I mean. So this time is a release of minis. So there are 5 mini stencils and I don't know how many. Oh, 8 mini stamps. And I think this is a nice idea actually just before Christmas because, you know, most of us are a bit skint coming up to Christmas. So these come in at a really nice kind of price point. You know, you can treat yourself to 1 or 2 little minis. What I want to show you tonight is how much you can do with them. So mini stamps, mini stencils don't always mean mini art. So what I do have to do, I think, is give a big shout out to Dunia at Paper Artsy and Mr. Paper Artsy, because when I'm designing stencils, my head doesn't work very well for stencils. It's the positive, negative thing. I find it really tricky. And I think I've designed them and I send them off and Mr. Paper Artsy says, well, no, that's not going to work. So Dunia did a lot to help me. She was very patient with me and really helped me to sort them out. So they're my designs, but I did have to tweak them a little bit. Still got a couple of people joining. Ellen's just joined, Jill. And Jani, maybe Yanni, not sure. Brilliant. Okay. I think we will get started. So I'm going to start by showing you stencils and some of the backgrounds. So I've made quite a lot of these little backgrounds already. So I'm going to show you those and then I'm going to show you my projects. I've got journal pages, tags, lots of cards, and I'm going to show you as well how I incorporate those stencil designs into backgrounds as well. And then of course lots of ideas with the stamping. So in a moment I'm going to flip the camera around so I can show you things I think you get a better view. Just a couple of things before I start. It's very dark here now. Gets dark at about 4 p.m. So I'm going to tweak the lighting a little bit. When I've turned the camera, I want to make sure that you get a really decent view. So I will turn the camera and just play with lighting a minute and make sure we can get it as clear as possible. And another thing I want to say is previously I did quite a lot of little lives in the Paper Artsy people group, lots of technique using stencils, infusions, alcohol inks, colouring in, it's all there. Now if you go to guides at the top of the group, click on guides, and underneath every designer is linked anything that they've done in the group. So that's a really easy way to find any of those little tutorials. If you go to my group here on Facebook, which is Create with Kate, at the top everything is pinned on under featured, the bar that goes across the top. And I still keep my blog running. Now I know blogs are a bit old-fashioned, but I do think things are very easy to find on a blog. Sometimes things get a bit lost on Facebook. It can be hard to find things, or they're here, then they're gone. On my blog, at the top there are tabs. So it's easy to find your way to any tutorials and things that I've done previously. So hopefully you can always find things. Right, I'm going to flip the camera, mess about with the lighting a little bit, and then I'm going to talk you through what's new and what you can do with them. So just bear with me 1 second. You might want to look away a minute because it gets a little bit giddy when you do this. Just making sure everything's the right way round. Okay, now I hope that's light enough. Okay, so let's get started with these stencils. They are so cute. Look at them. Really, really cute. So there are 5 mini stencils. So let me talk you through them. This one here. Now I love circles. I'm always saying this, I know, but I love circles because it works with anything. Circles are a gentle shape. You can put anything on a circle. Nothing kind of clashes with it. There are no hard edges. So that's the circle with a little cross in. And that one is 32. And then this one, I think some of you might recognise this as these are my really kind of common doodles. Always a flower, the little scallops, the little crosses, and you'll have seen these in other bits like when I did my Marks stencil. So that's just there though as a little doodle. And that one is PM33, then mandala. Now mandala's going to feature quite a bit today actually. I've been drawing mandalas for years. They're very soothing things to draw, but they're also a very soothing shape. Again, working in rounds. And that one is PM34. The rainbow. This was the prime culprit for me having to tweak the design because the way I had it, it was all just going to fall apart. Anyway, we got there and I love it. There is never ever a time when I'm not really excited to see a rainbow. Still, at my age, I'm so excited to see a rainbow, but also it's a shape that works really, really well. And I'll show you why I think that. And that one is PM35. And again, another round, the spiral. Another really gentle and easy shape to work with. Right, I'm just going to move those to one side and then let me show you some little samples. So sometimes once I start making a mess, you know, a creative mess, a nice mess, I usually do a few. Because once you've got your stuff out, why wouldn't you? But also, I find it really helpful to have lots of backgrounds to choose from. So some of these are done with alcohol ink, some of them are done with the infusions. You know I like infusions because they're just a little bit messy and a little bit unpredictable, which is what I like. When I put my projects together, I also tend to use quite a lot of this. Now this is alcohol ink, this is a Duralar, but it makes a really nice transparency. And if you've done classes and things with me, you know I use this loads, but sometimes it's fabulous for just adding a pop of colour over the top, but you still see all your pattern through. And also you'll see things like this featuring a lot in my work. You know how you go through phases? I'm on a phase of this at the minute. Some of you will recognise this from my previous stencil collection. This is done with Sharpie, and this is another way I like to add an extra layer onto backgrounds. So quite a bit of that will feature today. So you can see there I've got the really nice gentle round shape, and anything kind of will work on there. I'm going to come back to stamps in a little while. Now this is the doodle one, and again I think this is a mixture. Sometimes I can't actually tell how I did them when I look back. I think this is that's infusions. And one of the nice things I've discovered about working with this one is that because the flower gives you a little bit of a focal point here, it's very nice and it works well to put the stamp next to it here, so not central. It just balances it really nicely. I think all of those have been done with a mixture of infusions, and if you look in guides there is a little video showing you how I do that. And the mandala shape. So these three are done with infusions, and that's done with alcohol ink. The nice thing about infusions is if you put loads and loads of water in with them, you get this really nice pastel look, or you can really go for it. I added a bit of black here and I've got a much more dramatic look there. And one of the really nice things about working with a central pattern is, let me see, let's find that silly chicken. It's really, really good place to put an image. An image sits really well in something central, especially if you can line up the head in the middle. This is why I like circles. And what have we got next? And here is the rainbow. And let's see, that those two have been done with alcohol inks, and these are all infusions. And you can see how you can get that really strong colour with more infusions, less water, and you can get something much more gentle if you add more water, more kind of pastel shades. And again, another reason why I really like this shape is it's perfect for something in the middle. Look how that rainbow kind of frames my central focal point there. It just works really well. And same with the spiral as well. Let me just pop these out. I think these ones are all infusions and these are alcohol inks on the gel plate. The nice thing as well about a spiral is not only is it a round, because it works around, it draws your eye into the centre. So again, it's a great place. Let's get a couple of these out. That's a nice one. For something in the middle. And I've used that in some of my bigger projects, so you can see how things sit really nicely in the middle there. Yes, Leandra's just pointing out. So when I do this technique with infusions and stencils to get that kind of pattern, the smoothie card works best for me. So some card is too absorbent. You put your colour on, it gets soaked in immediately, and you don't get a chance to play with your stencils to create this pattern. You can get really, really clean pattern with infusions if you use the smoothie card, because it sits on the top for a little while longer and it gives you a chance to play. Again, check out the guides, it's all in there. Right, I'm going to put those backgrounds to one side and let's have a look at the stamps. Most of my stamp designs start off as doodles in I have like a daily bullet journal. It's where I kind of hold my life together. It's more functional than anything else. Ah, my daughter's just, she's just said, hi, Mama. Hi, Els. Now, these are these stamps. So these often start as little doodles in my bullet journal, because that's the first thing I do. Before I write anything, I just draw a little scribble or something, and then I work on them and so on. So we've got a flying bird carrying a heart, and he is KCM, he's number 9, and a silly chicken. I don't think there is any occasion where a silly chicken just doesn't work. And then this wise old owl. Sorry, they're a little bit shiny. This is the problem when you get your lighting on. And then this echinacea. Now, I grew a lot of echinaceas this summer in the garden, and I love them. They're a little bit, to me, they're a little bit imperfect. They're not like a big showy dahlia that knows what it's doing. Echinaceas always look a bit droopy, and they look as if they're not, you know, not quite got their act together. And I love them for it. I really do. Now, foliage. This is one of the most useful stamps. It's a great filler. It's also great to stand things on. I'll show you in a moment. It can grow up from the bottom of the page. It can hang down. It's just really, really useful. And then texture stamps, because I use a lot of these to build up my backgrounds. You can keep stamping texture, and I've got certain techniques to show you for that, and it just builds up that really dense pattern background. So just pop those to one side, and let me show you some of my little coloured in ones. So some of these are watercolour, and some of them are coloured with my tints. Again, check out the guides, there is a tutorial. This one is watercolour and this one is my tints. My tints actually are very, very easy to colour in with. They don't run away. Watercolour sometimes runs away a little bit. My tints don't. They're very stable and makes them really super easy to colour in with, and you still get your bright colours. And then, oh, there's another little flying bird, half done. And this one, now this one works really well coming down from the top of a page or a card or a tag, but also works really well going up the page, and also, and Katie and I both did this when we did our samples, it's a great place for a chicken to sit, or an owl. You can cut those leaves off, you can leave them on, it doesn't really matter, but it makes a great perch as well. This one is coloured with my tints. And see how that works. This one, by the way, this little vine, this is what I draw on every page in my bullet journal. It's my starting doodle, it's my starting scribble. So, I'm going to start with the flying bird. So let me just find my... So, first of all, this is quite a big journal page. I always do them on card because these often end up on display at shows and things. So normally I would have done this straight in my journal, but for this kind of thing, I keep it on loose card. So this is KCM 009, and you can see how repetition really works on a bigger page. So mini stamp doesn't mean that every project has to be mini. Your project can be as big as you want. Repetition is one way that I do that. So I've got several birds on here. I've also done them coming off the page and flying in, and it gives that sense of continuity if those birds are going to keep flying and that there's more to come. I did the background with a brayer, and this is the paints, the frescoes, and this is Tracy Scott's range because I love her bright palette, her colour palette. It's just my kind of colours. So that's how I've built up the background with a brayer, and in the background here you'll also see lots of marks made with the previous collections, the previous minis, the little scribbles and so on. And then when I did this page, I thought, this actually reminds me of like the World War II bomber patrols when they're all flying. So I put here bomber patrol, and then I crossed out bomber and put love patrol because they're bringing packages of love instead. And I think at the moment the world does feel a bit topsy-turvy, doesn't it? Everything feels quite chaotic. So I thought this was quite a nice message about bringing love. And when I repeat things like this, I often number them as well. I don't know why really, to me it just makes sense. So we've got bird 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and that's just little bits cut off a book page. So that's how you can create like a bigger page with repetition. Let me show you some projects. This is by Katy Norgate. Look at this, the flying bird. She's got it on a little bit of Duralard to make him hang. And I know, because I heard Katy saying this, that if she does a really, really nice background, because that is beautiful, she doesn't always want to cover it up. If you have your bird hanging, you're not covering anything up. Isn't that cute? And another one here, and she's done something very clever with the rainbow here. She's coloured through the stencil to make this rainbow shape, and again it's hanging. And here you see what I mean about circles. Things just sit really nicely in the middle of a circle, and that's all tonal in pinks. It's lovely. So thanks to Katy for those. I'm going to put those two one side. Oh, the bird on the rainbow. Frantic Stamper says swoon. Yeah, she's good, isn't she? Right, let's have a look next at Silly Chicken. Right, I'm just going to lean over. Excuse me 1 minute. I've got so many samples. I've had to take up my whole workspace. Right, let's just get that in place. So this is Silly Chicken. This is KCM 010. Now another way to use a very small stamp on a bigger page, I don't know what this is, maybe this is about 8 inches by 8, something like that. So can you see here, this is a print with the spiral stencil, because I wanted to put my chickens in this kind of half mandala shape, and it really helps to have them something to stand on. So it makes sense to have them standing around the spiral. So I put a few chickens in. You can see I've numbered them again, numbered those again. And then on this side, without that echinacea, it just looked a little bit empty. But putting the echinacea there, it just balances it a little bit. I've built up a lot of pattern and colour around the edge. Now, just in here, and I'll show you a bit more of this later, but this stamp here is one that I use a lot to build in pattern around the edge. And I'm using red with it here because tone on tone works well. You can build up lots of stamping and colour if you stick to the same colours. So another thing I did, now another texture in, let me just find it here, this one. I've actually got all of these texture stamps on here. So this one with the vertical lines, you can see, let's see if I can bring that a bit closer. It's here. So it's vertical lines and splats. And again, tone on tone stamping, so pink on the pink. And this one I've used with acrylic paint. Now, quite recently, I think it was when Jofi did her last live, or a recent one, she was raving about this. And I didn't have this one, so I got this one. And this is the perfect colour, and it's also the perfect consistency for stamping with a stamp. Now, it won't damage your stamp as long as you wipe it off straight away. And I have used it here, look, quite a lot. So I had a lot of space here, and it needed filling with something, but I didn't want it to get busy because the chickens are the main focus. So I've stamped a lot of the gold. Oh, that's better. I think you can see it there. And it's also slightly dimensional, which is really nice. And let's see, we've got a few other chicken samples. So here is a chicken on, and this is the doodle background. Remember I said it's nice, you've got the flower here, you can put something to the side. But actually I had two backgrounds. I had one in reds and one in greens. So I cut them in half and just kind of put them together. So I've got like a two-toned background, but it's actually the same stencil. And I think that's done with infusions on there. And I've just put that as part of a larger tag. But also, here is the good old texture stamp. I don't think you can go wrong with texture stamps. You can sort of just use them on everything. And if you also look in the chicken's body, so I often leave a lot of white space when I'm painting. So in that white space, I just use this one and put a little bit of texture, just kind of green on green, tone on tone again. Let's have a look at some of Katy's samples. I really like the colouring she's done here. Yeah, works really well. And again, look, there's the flower, chicken to one side. And she's brought in a bit of the texture stamp around the edge. I always think, even if you're doing sort of pale colours, everything needs a bit of black. It's black that makes everything else pop on the page. So just this subtle bit of black she's brought in there just kind of brings it all together. And this is lovely. This is all in the tonal pinks. And just look, let me see if I can bring that closer for you. Just look how much texture stamping Katy's done here. So she's used this one and she's done the tone on tone technique. So lots of pink on pink and then touches of black. Gorgeous, isn't it? Love the pinks. And look, she's done that clever thing with the stencil again. So she has used the mandala stencil, but just coloured through it. Doesn't it look nice, and repeated it? And here is the vine, and she's bringing it down from the top and also using it as a perch. There's lots of glitter on there as well. I'm not sure if you can see that in this light. You know, when it gets dark here, we get months of darkness. Nothing to make the glitter sparkle. And let me just, one more thing I'll say about this one. So just to go back to this, so this is what I do with Sharpies. And I have got a video with this technique on in my Create with Kate group. If you look on the featured, it'll be pinned there. And I've brought all these bits in, look, just cut them out and stuck them on. This is the crosses off the the Mark stencil from previous release. So all of this is on this transparent overlay. I know you can buy transparent overlays. It is quite nice to create your own and then it's all yours. Right, what is next? So next is the owl. We've had the silly chicken, but now this owl, he's a little bit more serious. So again, this is it's a big journal page. It's about 8 by 8, I think. And there's kind of lots going on here. So I started off, this is Tracy Scott's paint range again. And I can't even remember how I painted this. I think I just literally like scribbled it with a paintbrush. But let's have a look around the edge here. So there's quite a lot of this one brought in around the edge and in colour. So I've got it in pinks and then the black on top, building up that edge. Okay, so tone on tone again, so you can keep building. I've also got, this is the star from the last Christmas release, the star stencil. So you can see that there. This texture here is from the previous mini stencils. So you might have those in your collection already. And this is from the Mixed Media Marks. This was my first collection. So once you start to build your collection, everything can start to work together. And in the middle here, look, is the spiral. Let's just see if I can find that stencil. So we've got that one in there. So the owl is KCM 011, and I put him on the spiral because if you just put the owl in the middle of the page, he's floating. It doesn't make sense. He's floating in midair. But if you put him, he's got something to stand on, and he is, like I said, get the head in the centre, so he's nicely framed by that spiral. And then I've brought a couple of vines in coming up and a vine coming down. And lots of glitter. Don't know if you can, not sure if you can see that sparkle. Okay, and here from the previous, so I've got from the moon phase stencil, this is from the Christmas stencil, colouring through with Sharpie and then cut out and stuck on. So that's another way of doing a really, like a much bigger page. Use one of your stencils in the middle and then build it up from there. And this, a couple of cards I've done as well. So completely different techniques here. Now this one is here. So This stencil, because everything is circular, it makes a really gentle background. You can put anything on top. There's nothing to kind of fight and shout with each other. It just sits there really comfortably on the top. And I've brought my vine in along the bottom for him to sit on. And look how I've just as well, you can get him underneath one of the leaves. And then from the moon phase stencil. And the quote is from previous collection, one of the Christmas ones. And underneath is a bit of pink. That's just another, there'll be another print under there, probably another Infusions print. I've used as well a bit of, what's it called? The dimensional stuff in his eyes. Glossy accents. Yeah, so I've put that on his eyes as well. I think, I haven't tried this yet because I haven't got any. I think it'd work really well with those stick-on googly eyes. So watch out for that. And this one, all of this background here is the strips cut off. So all your little prints I've cut into strips and just lined them up and glued them down. And there's a few like little extras in there you can see. And then just stood him on there. Makes a really nice bright background now. And it's a good way to use up your stash. It's a good stash buster. And here's a couple that Katie's done. Again, I really like her colouring here. It's quite a nice muted kind of chestnut brown on there, but it works really nicely against that bright background. And you can see as well she's brought in bits of the background stamps here, and then this is the vertical line. When you start looking closely, you can see so much pattern built in the background. And she's done this one too. Look at this. A little pop-up. So he sits up. That's so cute. And the rainbow shape. Look how nicely he sits in the middle of that archway. And at the bottom too, it's like a mirror effect she's got there with the rainbow. He sits in the middle and it's there too. This works really well, doesn't it? Just nice placement of everything. And oops, everything's starting to get a bit full here now. So this is the Echinacea, my favourite scruffy flower. So this one is 012, KCM 012. And this works really well just as a single flower on its own. I'll show you in a moment, like just on a greetings card, on a tag or something. Just standalone works really nicely. But I have this background. So what I've done here, Tracy Scott's paints again, some of them have mixed to make different colours. And with a paintbrush, I've literally just flicked in colour, big broad brush, flicked in colour around the edge. And then I've added quite a bit of stamping. So it's this one again, you can see here. And in black here, the other way on. There's also lots and lots of, if you look closely, there's the vertical lines. So this one, again, pink on pink. And lots of with the gold paint, Jofie's favourite, now my favourite, with the texture stamp here. I will just show you how I do that as well. What you will notice is when I'm doing texture stamping, I never stamp the whole thing. I only ever, let me just grab one. So I would just ink up part of that and then just roll it on. I don't necessarily want to stamp that whole block on a background. Sometimes I'm only filling in small areas, so a small bit of ink and you just kind of roll it on, and that's how you can build up just those little patches of texture. So when I got the Echinacea, I thought I'm going to put this as another mandala shape, but look what the leaves did in the middle. I hadn't really thought about that when I designed it, but actually those make a really nice kind of flower shape in the middle. I've then just put a little, just like using a paper punch, like a hole punch in the middle, and here, you might recognise this from the previous collection, the circle one in the middle there. It just gives it that kind of boldness in the middle, and then a couple of the crosses as well from that previous stencil. And I think those echinaceas work really nicely as a mandala. Now all of this will be on the Paper Artsy blog, might be there now or will be later. And I also said on the blog, I think this would also work well with another echinacea coming out between. You could go bigger, you can just build it out and go bigger. So another example of small stamps don't always mean small art. You can go bigger, you can go large, that would go even bigger. You could keep building those out. And those leaves just make such a nice shape in the middle. And a few more examples here. So this one is, if you look closely, you might see that the rainbow is here in the background. I think that might be an alcohol ink print on the gel plate. I'm not 100% sure. I can't always tell when I look back. And here is a little strip of, let me just grab it for you, the alcohol ink. So there's a little strip across here, and then polka dots from the previous collection, stencils, in here. And see how it kind of needed that pop of black in there. Just the echinacea on the background looked a bit bland. Bringing that pop of colour in, and then black, because every page needs a little bit of black, I think, just to give it that pop. And I've stitched on most of mine, you've probably noticed. I often get asked about sewing machine and things. It doesn't damage your sewing machine, and it will if you sew through wet glue. So, but other than that, it won't. It will blunt the needle. But I have like a standard sewing machine, and I've got one really basic cheap one that I use for my art. I do have a better one, but I try and keep that for making curtains and things. So, but it won't damage your machine, and I just have a standard size one. You can get the little tiny desktop ones, but I find them a little bit fiddly. So here, the rainbow shape, look how nicely it sits in the middle of that archway. Even though it's quite subtle, it's there. And yeah, let's see if you can see there some of that gold texture stamping as well. In fact, there's quite a lot in the background there too. This one I doubled up because, like I keep saying, echinaceas can be a bit scruffy, and I quite like being able to pull those petals out and give it a little bit of dimension. And then Katy did something really super clever with this. So this is another example from Katy Norgate. I couldn't even work this out when I looked at it. She's actually stamped the echinacea head 3 times, and if you put 3 together, you get a full daisy head. How clever is that? So you get a whole different use, a whole different look by putting 3 heads together. And then this vine, it's just a fabulous filler stamp. I don't think there's anything it doesn't work on. Just bringing the vine across there without that, it's just a bit empty. Something is just a bit missing. By bringing that across, it just works really well. And the green as well and the pink together, it just really pops, doesn't it? So that's really clever how she did that. And then this one. So multiple stamping. And look on the spiral. So the spiral is somewhere for those flower heads to sit. And the orange and the blue together, they're just lovely. And she's done all this extra texture stamping as well. So the grid, you can see the little grid one. You can see the little grid one on there. Yeah, all super clever stuff. So let me just show you. So when I stamp the gold, because this is something I do now all the time. First of all, let me just show you how it looks just with coloured ink. So this is what I mean. I don't use the whole stamp. So a good way to build up that texture . And if you don't use the whole thing, you can just build up pattern, and that over a painted background or an infusions background is just a really nice way to build up loads and loads of depth and pattern. But if I'm doing it with paint, So I'm just on my little craft mat here. Now I don't want this too thick because if I put my stamp in, it's going to pick up an absolute load. So what I like to do, because I am messy and I always have hands in paint, and then that will just wipe off with a baby wipe, and then you've got that lovely gold, and all that can build a fantastic pattern on your background. And the nice thing is you can keep repeating that all over the page. It just builds up a really nice top layer, because top layers is the one of the key things to kind of finishing off your projects. So let me just see if I've got any more samples, or let's just get them all back out. So big thank you to Katy for doing me all these extras, because she does do something a little bit different. So Mrs. Paper Artsy is just saying something about metal sludge. Oh, okay. So it's got real gold particles. That's why it's so nice. I think I couldn't quite read the message. I think she's saying you might need to put something in to stir it if it settles. So there we go. So you can work really, really small. You can take it up. You can work really big. You can take mini sizes. You can take them as big as you want. Repetition, using circles, mandalas. You can build it up and just go with the flow. Oh, I think we might have a few more samples here. Oh, we have. So here's another echinacea one from Katy. And she's, she's taken the quote from the previous. And again, she's used the... Just grab that one again. See, really nice gentle background, and it goes with anything. So I've used that one with the owl on. Katy's used it with the flower on, and a collage this time, but again in the circle. There's the fish. That was quite a popular one, I think. I've seen a lot of fish samples, and again bonging up and down there. Look, and nice in the middle, so it's not covering the background. Beautiful colours there, and that nice round mandala, it's just sitting in the middle. And yep, there's those fish again. And actually on this background, what Katy's done here, so these stencil, it doesn't have to be just one print. You can repeat prints and build up a much bigger print for your background, which is what she's done here. Added the vine, kind of looking all seaweedy, and then two little boingy fish. So I think there's a lot you can do with their minis. You know, they're mini in size, but there's plenty that you can do with them. Go large, go small, make tags, make cards. So I think that is about it from me today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I do hope you enjoy playing with these cute as buttons little minis. Thanks so much. I'm going to try and hit the right button so that this is saved in the group. I'll also share this video in my group, Create with Kate, here on Facebook. And this will be pinned somewhere. I think Leandra's in charge. I don't know. But thank you so much for joining me, everybody. And I'm looking forward to seeing the samples that you create too. Thanks so much. Have a good evening. Or if you're in Australia, have a good day. Bye, everybody.